So I'm joined today in the NPD studio by Jaco, who is a veteran, a gold medal Paralympian, a global ambassador, an expedition supreme adventurer. I don't know how else to describe you, Jaco, but you've led a really, really interesting life. And I've just got a couple of questions that I'd love to ask, if that's okay. So please take us back to the moment when you decided that cycling was going to be a focus for you.
So I've always had some form of a love and interest in cycling. Even as a kid, as a young boy, I was always on my bike exploring. And it's actually not until after my incident in the army when I lost my arm and kind of through my rehabilitation that I really fell in love with cycling and a passion. I was actually living in London at the time, and it was the Olympic and Paralympics in 2012 in London. And I was a spectator. I went to some of the games and some of the other sports. And it was there that I was truly inspired by seeing these athletes, the effect that they had on the people, and then also being in those crowds, you know, the cheering on and the amazement of it all just inspired me. And that's where I wanted to become a Paralympic cyclist.
Amazing. And from that moment, how long did it take for your first medal? If you look at it in that sort of time frame.
So from kind of when that little seed was planted to standing on the podium was 8 years.
8 years, wow.
Yeah, so 8 years, so a really long time. The aim was to go to the Paralympic Games in 2016 in Rio. Sadly, I didn't make the final team to go and represent Great Britain. And then my life took a really weird turn and I went off to do loads of other stuff, but I also always had that love for cycling. And I always kept cycling. And then eventually I got selected for the games in Tokyo in 2020. And obviously due to COVID, it got delayed by 1 year, but that's when I won the first the first gold medal.
Thank you for bringing those in, by the way. I've never seen any of these sorts of things before. It's lovely to see. Thank you. Pick a memory, if you can, from your career in cycling. What would the one standout memory be?
Obviously, so there's actually two, but they're the same to a degree, but one's in Paris and one's in London. Sorry, one's in Paris and one's in Tokyo. It's winning that first gold medal. It was 8 years, like I say, of many ups, many downs, a lot of setback. To eventually stand on top of that podium with a world record and a gold medal around your neck, I will never forget that. Sadly, due to COVID, there was no friends and family allowed to come or audiences, so an empty stadium, and it just didn't feel right. Then I replicated that moment in Paris. So I won again, broke a world record, received a gold medal, but this time I had all my friends, all my family, my wife, everyone was there to kind of witness it, to be part of it. So I would say those definitely the two standout moments for me first winning that first gold and the second time actually doing it again, but in front of them and having them there because there's so much sacrifice.
Yeah.
And it's even from them, you know, so not just as the athlete, the family members as well, they give a lot up. So to then almost reward them for that was amazing.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. That's lovely. Something I'm personally really interested in is people who've overcome adversity in their life. And there might be some people watching this video now who are going through a rough time. Could you give them some advice, some words of wisdom if they're going through a tough moment?
Yeah, I think the one thing that stands out for me and what I've learned over my time is that just you're never alone. I think sometimes we feel like we're alone in a situation, but there's always a family member, there's always a friend, there's always other support structures even available, or be that on the internet, be that on, the NHS or whatever it might be. You're never alone, and it's helping and sharing those problems, and it's working with someone together to solve that. I think, like I say, be that a good friend or anyone else that can just help you out of a bad situation is very important. And I think sometimes we just need to share how we feel and maybe the struggles we go through. And also another thing is, whatever happens to you, you can always stand up from it. It's the one thing I always knew. So if this is my lowest moment, okay, fine, then this is it. We can only it can only get better from here. So know that it will get better, and also know that there's help out there or support to other degrees. And for mine was friends, mine was family, and also the doctors and the nurses for when I got injured. I thought my life, kind of ended to a degree. I couldn't see myself from being fully able-bodied to losing an arm and nearly a leg to kind of, how was my life ever going to get better? But it did. But it's also thanks to those people and the trust that they had in me and the trust that I can put over to them. So yeah, you don't have to carry this burden on yourself.
Oh, amazing, thank you. You've clearly had an amazingly successful career in cycling. What happens next? What's next for you?
Gosh, what happens next? It's a great question. I think I would love to kind of push limits and boundaries in maybe some other sports or other activities as well. I've always had a great passion for the outdoors, so maybe falling back to some of the mountains, but also other disciplines within cycling. I'm a keen gravel rider and I love mountain biking as well. So maybe putting a bit more focus to that and enjoyment into the sport. Because obviously with the road racing and the track cycling, it's so specific, it's so kind of down the line. But yeah, just kind of opening those arcs a little bit and enjoying some of the other elements of cycling is what I'm looking forward to. Yeah,
amazing. So we have a connection in that we co-developed the thinAir hypoxic training device, which I think has been a factor, not the only thing, but it has been a factor in your training. I just wondered if you could summarise how you used it and the benefits that you got from it.
Yeah, it's definitely had a huge factor in my preparation for not just the games, for both Tokyo and for Paris, but in my general training and in my general life as well. So I've been using the machine for a number of years now, and like I say, especially into the build-up of major competitions, and it's just incredible. The machine works extremely well, getting rid of some of the inflammation that I build up as an athlete within the body, being able to kind of shift that for my body to optimize the blood flow, and just for me and myself performing to an optimal level is exactly what is required. I think it's a little, what do you call it? It's a little step that I have above some of my other competitors by using the machine. And yeah, it's been part of my training regime for many years now.
I consider it like it's a secret weapon. It's a guardian angel. It's the little thing, that little boost that you can have as an individual or an athlete that just gives you that extra little push.
It's exactly that. Like you say, it is a little secret weapon I have in my arsenal. Not a lot of my competitors know that I use it, but it plays a huge advantage for me and myself, and the way I perform, the way I recover, and the way I sleep, and all of those things add up. And it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, amazing, thank you.